What's going on, my fellow bass players? In this lesson, I'm going to be showing you a melodic exercise to practice your dexterity, speed, and your precision. So what are you doing? Come on, grab your bass. Let's go. All right, guys, so you already know who it is. Daric here from DaricBennett.com, coming to you with a quick exercise lesson. All right, if you've been following for any time soon, you know that we've been heavily in the modes, learning the modes. We just got finished with that course, Ionian through Locrian. All right, so if you haven't watched any of those videos or you don't know your modes, I strongly suggest you go take a look at that. If you're on the site, you know where to find it. If you're on YouTube, I'll put some links in the description for you. All right, with that being said, let's get started with the exercise. So I like to figure out a melodic way to be able to exercise, or to create exercises, to play exercises, because I figured, you know, this is all about making music anyway. You know, you don't want to just sound like you're playing an exercise. You actually want to sound kind of musical, right? So what better way to do that than using the modes to have for an exercise before we just learn them as scales by themselves. All right, pretty, you know, pretty straightforward, pretty basic, okay? But it doesn't stop there. All right, so I always like to pick, I have this little thing that I like to pick from my toolbox or from our arsenal that we have in the back of our head that we've learned already. So I'm taking the simple concept of an arpeggio, right? I'm taking that simple concept and kind of running with it, okay? So our first mode, Ionian, I'm gonna just stick right where we were. I'm gonna stay right in the key of C. Right, that's where we learn the modes at. But it's going to be the same concept if we change keys. Doesn't matter if we're in A, doesn't matter if we're in B flat, doesn't matter if we're in G. Doesn't matter at all. All right, so C. That's our Ionian scale. So I'm going to take that arpeggio, which we should already know. Arpeggio is the first note, the third note, fifth note, and the seventh note of that scale. All right, so for each mode, I'm going to take the arpeggio. This is the concept. I'm going to take the arpeggio of each mode, and I'm going to play them back to back. And you can hear how it sounds. It starts kind of coming together musically. Instead of just playing the scale, I mean, that sounds great. That sounds fine. But for some reason, playing the arpeggio kind of, you know, it's like a puzzle piece. It puts that puzzle together. You really start hearing these tones, you know, a little bit. They sound a little bit more familiar because they almost sound like melodies. So, hence melodic exercise. But anyway, all right, so we have our first arpeggio, the Ionian arpeggio, which comes out to be a C major 7 arpeggio. All right, so what the exercise is, I'm actually not playing them back. I'm not going back down. I'm just playing them going up. I'm stopping right at that B. I'm not coming back down backwards. All right, so that's the point of the exercise. Stopping right there. So now for the next mode, for the next arpeggio, we're going to use the Dorian arpeggio. So the scale for the Dorian, I'm going to use the arpeggio for that. So first note, third note, fifth note, seventh note, D minor 7 arpeggio. All right, that's what we have for that. So all together, so far we have C major 7, D minor 7. All right, so 2, 1, 4, 3, 1, 4, 3, 1. Those are finger numbers that I'm calling out. All right. Next, we have the Phrygian Arpeggio, which is so I use the same arpeggio for that. The first note of that scale, third note, fifth note, and the seventh note. And it just so happens to be the same exact arpeggio that we would use for the second mode, for the Dorian mode. All right, it gets it's a lot easier than what it sounds. It's what it sounds like. So you have a major 7 arpeggio here for the Ionian, minor arpeggio for the Dorian, minor 7 arpeggio for the Phrygian. All right, so let's keep going. Let's figure it out. Next one we have Lydian, right? Lydian starts on the F, the fourth note of the major scale. Going to take the arpeggio from that. Right? We have F, A, C, E. Okay, so that's our arpeggio, the first note, third note, fifth note, seventh note. And if you pay attention to that, what does that look like? Not even look like, what is that? Same exact thing, right? Same exact thing as the first arpeggio. It's a major 7 arpeggio. The Lydian is actually a major 7 arpeggio as well if you play the arpeggio for that scale. So Ionian, Just a little tip, just to remember, the Ionian arpeggio is the same exact thing as the Lydian arpeggio, just starting on a different note, just starting on F. So just think about it. We only have two different sets of arpeggios. We have a major 7, minor 7, minor 7, and a major 7. How simple is that? How easy is that, right? Okay, so we're going to keep going up. Next arpeggio is what? Mixolydian. One of my favorite modes. Not arpeggio. Next mode is the Mixolydian. One of my favorite modes. What? Anyway, I'm kind of getting carried away. But anyway, I like playing these arpeggios. So we have the Mixolydian mode. Either playing it down here an octave lower or an octave higher. But for this exercise, I want to keep going up the scale. All right, we're learning our fretboard really at the same time to be able to skip through these arpeggios, right? We just did 4 arpeggios. We went from the 3rd fret. Technically, our first bass note, our root note was from the 3rd fret. Now we're ending up on the 10th fret. All right, just from 5 arpeggios. People ask me all the time, how do I maneuver around the fretboard, right? This is one way that I know how to maneuver around the fretboard, learning my modes in and out in every key. All right, that's another tip, right? Just learning your modes, being able to make exercises out of them, making melodic exercises out of them, creating pathways to make sure you can get from here to here, you know, wherever you're trying to get to, right? So learning your modes is a nice little segue for getting to that spot that you want to get to up on a different section of the fretboard. All right, so you see what I mean? We just going through the modes. That's what I'm playing. I'm visualizing the modes at the same time. That's another analogy that I would use too, kind of picturing the modes and different scales as shapes, right? Picturing them as shapes, literally as shapes, so you can memorize them a little bit easier. That works for me. I mean, the finger numbers work for you. That's great. But I'm looking at them and I'm literally connecting the dots. Literally connecting the dots, like that. You know, you were in grade school and they had the connect the dot little coloring book thing. I'm literally connecting the dots. All right. So I'm just a visual person. But anyway, it helps me. It works for me. It might not work for you. Different way. Whatever works, use it. All right, by all means. So we left off on the Mixolydian. All right, so Mixolydian scale. We have the arpeggio, the first note, 3rd note, 5th note, and the 7th note of that scale. So we have G, B, D. Now this one is a little bit different. All right, we're kind of used to having 2 sets of arpeggios now. We had a major and a minor. This one's a little bit different. That last note is an F, okay? But because we're in the Mixolydian scale, we're on G. It's almost like a flat 7, so we have a dominant 7 chord. I think I mentioned this in one of the previous videos, lesson videos. All right, that G Mixolydian, the Mixolydian scale usually carries that, not usually, but carries that dominant 7 chord in it, that G7, or whatever key you're pertaining to. So G7. So I have a arpeggio, flat 7. That's for the Mixolydian, right? So keep going. We're on the Aeolian now. We're going to keep moving up the fretboard. Right, this is the whole point of the exercise. We're moving up the fretboard. Say Aeolian starting on the 12th fret, on the A string. All right, so we're going to play the Aeolian mode, which is the natural minor scale. So let's do that. Let's find an arpeggio for that. So we're playing the 1st note, 3rd note, 5th note, 7th note. And by now you should already hear that sounds familiar. You got to know that sounds familiar, right? What does that look like? Just the shape by itself. Not even if you didn't even hear it. If you saw my fingers doing that, what shape does that look like? Same exact arpeggio. Now we're really seeing how this kind of works together. Just trying to find the relationships between these things that we're playing to figure out the easiest way or the best way possible to play them or to remember them. So the Aeolian, the arpeggio for the Aeolian is the same thing. So far we have a major 7, a minor 7, minor 7, major 7, dominant 7, minor 7. All right, now the last one, we got to figure out the last one. All right, we're going to take the Locrian Scale. All right, starting on B. Take that arpeggio. Now, one thing about this one, the shape looks the same as a minor 7. If you're looking at the shape and you're not listening, you see my fingers go that way. Make that almost that V shape. But one note is off. We have a flat 5 instead of a natural 5. All right, because in order for that to be a regular B minor 7 chord, B minor 7 arpeggio, that 5 would have to be a natural 5. It would have to be an F sharp. But in this case, we have an F. Right? All right, so that's the arpeggio for that one. So now let's put it together. All right, we have all of our modes. We have all of the arpeggios. So we have major, minor, minor 7. All right, same thing, minor 7, major 7, dominant 7, minor 7, minor 7 with a flat 5. All right, so that's the whole exercise. That's the whole thing. We have we have the whole exercise. That's what we're going to play. All right, we're playing it back to back. Ionian arpeggio, Dorian arpeggio, Phrygian arpeggio, Lydian arpeggio, Mixolydian arpeggio, Aeolian arpeggio, Locrian arpeggio. That's the exercise. That's the first part of the exercise. All right, the second part of the exercise. All right, we got it down. It's pretty simple, right? Pretty simple. We're just taking and dissecting each mode. Hey guys, one last thing. If you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. Also, you want to visit DaricBennett.com for full access to the full-length lessons and also the huge library that we already have available on the site. Not only that, but you get some other pretty cool features as well, like a messaging system and an interactive forum. So we'll love to have you become a member of the Bass Nation community. I'll put the link down in the description below. Until next time, see you.